Hi there, welcome to the indolent Spinster Almost Daily Report. This edition brought to you by the cat who is kneading on my belly that you can't quite see there. She might move in at some times while I'm doing this one-take video. Anyhow, the last 2 days of the festival, I didn't really have time to make a video. But on Saturday, the 12th, I went to the closing gala film where they gave out the awards and everything. And that film was called, what was it called? It was called Kusama Infinity. And it was about the artist Kusama Yayoi, who is maybe one of your more famous old lady artists these days. But it talks about her early days as an artist in both Japan, where nobody understood her and were kind of scared of her, I think, and also in New York City, where pretty much the same thing. Everybody was scared to death of her, and she was ahead of everybody, and they all copied her, and yeah, she never got a lot of credit for sort of doing a lot of things before a lot of people. Anyhow, that's how that went for lady artists in New York City back in the day, and how it probably goes for them now to some extent. Anyhow, a very resilient woman who, suffered from some mental illness and still does, and checked herself in the 70s. She went back to Tokyo or very around there, and she checked herself into a mental hospital of some sort, and she still basically lives there and has a studio nearby where she does her thing. She makes her art, and since the late 80s, early 90s, she's been she's become a lot more famous than infamous, which is what she was before, more infamous than famous, and well known for her great art, and very positive sort of way that she deals with her mental illness. Anyhow, I really enjoyed her paintings from the early days a lot, maybe more than the more modern stuff that I was sort of more familiar with. I didn't realize that she was, contemporary with Warhol and Rauschenberg and all those cats, and, was kind of ahead of their curve. But of course, ignored and belittled as a woman and never really got her due. Anyhow, she has now. So there you go. And then after that, there was a little party at the Post 750 for after the film, and there were some filmmakers there, and a lot of people that were very familiar at the festival who work there or around it a lot, and had a really good time, really good chats with lots of filmmakers, and it was really fun. I only stayed for a couple drinks, then I went home. And then Sunday, I went downtown in the afternoon and sort of hung out, did a few things here and there, bought some socks, and then I went to see co-creators The Rat Queen Story, which is a film I wrote the blurb in the guidebook for, and one I'd already seen a couple times. But I was hosting the Q&A. I also introduced the film, did the land acknowledgement and so on. And it's a pretty interesting film, and I enjoyed it the third time through just as much. An interesting story for those of you who don't know. The Rat Queen Story is sort of a cult favorite title from Image Comics that has had a tough publication history in that it's been late a lot, and one of the reasons it was late early on was that the original artist, Rockhopper CH, was arrested for domestic battery and or assault, and was sort of off the book. But before that, it had a lot of weird shit going on in his family and whatever, and he was behind all the time. So the book was already way behind. And with newer artists after that, there was still more weird stuff happened, and a lot of miscommunication, and a lot of maybe bad communication, people saying things inappropriately and whatever. The book has gone through some real ups and downs with its fans, but currently is on schedule. And it's a really interesting portrait of the writer sort of dealing with all this stuff while trying to start a family. And he doesn't always get it right. And he pretty much owns up to it. So he's trying. Uh, more than a lot of people can say. Um, so you know, it's a warts and all kind of portrayal, and I really quite enjoyed it. The questions afterwards were so thoughtful and interesting, and the filmmaker had really good answers for everything that came up, and that weren't necessarily the final answer on anything, but just you know his take. And I thought it was a really good, if brief, um, Q&A. I didn't really ask a lot of questions myself, but I feel like I contributed. Anyhow, that was my festival. I went home on the bus afterwards. It was pretty stinky. The bus, I think I'll take the SkyTrain most of the time from now on when I go downtown. Anyhow, that was my festival. You might have seen at the beginning, and I'll post it again now, the picture of my pass with all the films I saw, those films and more. Get an old program from JJ Bean or something. Lots of documentaries on there to circle and look out for when they make it to DVD or streaming or wherever they end up. Hopefully, most of them end up somewhere. All right, peace out, and look for more videos, much shorter than this now 6 minutes plus video, about other things that I'm going to talk about when I do these little videos. Probably art, movies, stuff like that. All right.